Netanyahu, who is the prime minister now 5.5 years in a row, very strong. He wants to be re-elected, he plans to be re-elected, he doesn't let anyone in the Likud party grow.
Jerusalem, he says, and this is a direct quote, has a biblical past, a biblical present, a biblical future. But in Netanyahu's Bible, there's one testament, not two.
You have a strong right-wing forces that are opposing any peace deal, anything.
The only place that Jerusalem is the undivided capital of Israel that will never be redivided is in the imaginations of right-wing ideologues. It doesn't exist in nature.
We are thinking of a more modest paradise where all creatures are equal. People can express themselves, can speak loudly, whatever. People can elect and dismiss their rulers. People who can join the world.
Yair Lapid with 19 seats doesn't have one Arab member. Labour Party doesn't have one Arab member. So, how would you get them out to vote if the Jewish society, ignores them?
Israel gave 5,000 permits for Palestinian workers. Wow. It's not solving anything. We want to create conditions for our own economy to develop and to create opportunities for our young people.
E1 is 12 square kilometers, and it is the entire empty desert area in front of us. If E1 will be built, it will achieve two things. It will drive a wedge that begins on the beach in Tel Aviv and goes all the way through Israel, Palestine.
Israel needs a relaxed neighbor.
When Netanyahu assumed office, this is a direct quote, he told Obama, Israel will not act on E1. Netanyahu has been signaling in word and in deed, Mr. President, don't even try, you've got no leverage over me. I'm the Republican senator from Israel. On November 30th, there's a more than reasonable chance that Netanyahu is going to proceed with E1. The administration said, hey, you said you weren't going to act, you said circumstances changed. Jerusalem is stable only when none of its communities, religious or national, Jewish, Christian or Muslim, have to struggle to maintain their own identities, and they're struggling. That's the epicenter of the conflict out there, Silwan, biblical Jerusalem. Home demolitions, arbitrary arrests.
The huge battleship that is called Israel has been sailing for decades on the same direction. The Oslo Accords, the interim agreement, the roadmap, all those international agreements have all repeated the same commitment by the State of Israel: no new settlements.
Under the terms of negotiations, one guy can eat the pizza while the negotiations are going on and the other guy can't. Those negotiations don't end in agreement. They end when the pizza's gone or the guy is sated and leaves crumbs for the other guy.
Now most of the lands are 70% free. That's because Israel prioritizes the settlements as national priority area.
This is not a security matter. This is an ideological matter. An occupant is not allowed to confiscate lands that belong to the occupied people. But there were only, as I said before, 400,000 dunams of public lands, of state lands. And so during the 80s and beginning of the 90s, the State of Israel has embarked on a huge project of declaring private lands as state land. The lands have been neglected, have been not been approached for more than a decade. Why? Because they were shooed away by the settlers.
The civil administration body in the military, as soon as these outposts are formed, goes to these outposts and gives them a demolition order. Because again, they're illegal according to the Israeli law and according to the military orders inside this area. Legally speaking, this case against Migron was easy because there was nothing to argue about. It was on private Palestinian land, it was built illegal, the state never denied these facts. And the state always said, we're going to demolish this outpost, but it's only a question of when. The Supreme Court got mad and upset at the government and at the settlers, and gave a deadline for the evacuation of Migron.
I am very proud to say that since we began this project, the settlers have not managed to create even one new outpost on private registered land. They know that we're watching. They know that wherever they build new structures on private land, may it be registered or non-registered, we'll be there, we'll hunt them, we'll bite.
You have fundamentalists, you have extremists, pretending that they carry with them the message of God.
The fact that we are revitalizing or reviving Jewish life in the cradle of Judaism, for me, is a tremendous thing. And again, I'm saying it's not a religious adventure, it's not a theological adventure, it's a Zionist adventure. When I look at the big picture, by far we have the upper hand on a moral ground. We are shielding Tel Aviv, yes. I believe firmly, I know, I'm convinced.
We don't really want you here. That's the default behavior. Informs all the policies towards the Palestinians. In terms of land, in terms of freedom of movement, in terms of economic development, in terms of almost everything.
You know, sometimes I meet colleagues of mine and they just don't get it. What do you mean? It's illegal. There's no permit, so how come a governmental body funds it? It just doesn't sink in.
They're recognized by the Israeli government and they're being treated as if they're legal according to the Israeli law. It is needless to say that according to the international law, the settlements are illegal.
The Palestinians have an outdated old curriculum.
Is there a greater gift that Israel can give the Hamas than an uneducated Palestinian population? But we're giving them that gift.
What I see in Palestine, what I see to some degree in the Israeli side, but especially in Palestine, I foresee very soon an internal revolution. I want to turn around the image of the Palestinian being on the receiving end. I want to have the entire world, it's very ambitious, to actually see that there's know-how, expertise and services that can come from Palestine, exported towards the rest of the world.
We are very proud that we have a small staff, a small office, but I think that bigger impact.
First thing, we want peace and we want Israel to be a better country.
So I hope that I don't have to tell this to my children.
What I will say to my children and the next generation?
I think not being afraid of somebody criticizing what you say, what you tell, the stories that you tell, what you see and what you feel, is very difficult.
This generation is declaring that we don't want to live in the same life and under the same conditions.
And I wasn't willing to just sit on the sidelines and be like, okay, well, I hope everything turns out okay.
Both of the countries, both of the people.
So you wanted to show the people, we are patriots as much as you are.